All right. Good morning, everybody. I know you all saw the surprising news from yesterday. Not gonna maybe be taking any of those internal matters and discussing. Not gonna take any questions on the subject. We're fired up for the guys that we have that are playing. Excited about our Big Ten home opener against a really good Wisconsin team, and we'll be excited to discuss that with you all today. With that, we'll take questions.
Thank you, Coach. Connor.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
With Alex Grinch coming back, what's that process like for you coaching against someone who was on your staff previously? What challenges does that present? And just what are you expecting to see from Wisconsin defensively with a guy on that staff who knows you so well?
Yeah, no, it'll be just, I think personally, just it'll be good to see him. It'll certainly be unique being on opposite sidelines. With all the good times and great memories that we had together, all the years working together. So yeah, and I've been a part of this before, where you have guys on previous staffs, or I've even coached against my brother before. So yeah, we'll see, right, how the game unfolds. I mean, they've obviously, Coach Grinch has a good familiarity with what we've done, and so but I still think the game comes down to players and who executes the best on Saturday afternoon. So I think we've prepared hard, but we know it'll be a good challenge going against a very good defense that he's obviously a part of.
Luca.
Hey, Lincoln, similarly on that, just, going up against Tackett, a guy who, you guys thought very highly of in recruiting. Just what have you seen from him so far at Wisconsin about his development and, ultimately, how did that kind of situation play out with him just, deciding to head there?
Yeah, Tackett, CJ. Yeah, it's just, I mean, this age of college football, I have one of my former players that played for Utah State. That's just, you kind of get used to that now. So I'm happy for those guys, they're getting opportunity at other schools, including, Tackett and CJ at Wisconsin. They're two great kids. I wish them the best. I wish them a lot of success other than on Saturday. No ill will, no bad blood with any of them, man. Want them to go do well. They're great kids. They got great families. And yeah, I wish them the best and I'll always be keeping up with them.
Jack.
Hey, Lincoln, how would you evaluate the play of the four sophomore receivers so far this season? And how do you think this receiver room blocks compared to the last couple of years?
Oh, yeah, you know me, Jack. I don't love to get into like these big picture evaluations. I mean, they've all made some really productive plays for us. They've all had some opportunities that I think they could be even better. But they have been impactful. I think our blocking has been solid. We can be better. That's something we've got to get to being more dominant blocking on the perimeter. It's certainly a big part of our offense and opens up so many more things. So they're all young guys that are talented guys, as we know. They're making some really good plays, but we need them to continue to progress like the rest of our roster needs to as well. And I think they will based on what I've seen.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Young.
Hey, Lincoln. Janae Abasiri is listed as second team on the new depth chart. But we talked about him before the season, but how has he progressed even just since camp and through these first weeks of the season? How ready is he to contribute if you need him?
Yeah, he's progressed a lot. He just every day you just see the guy improving. You see, him understanding the game, understanding what we're trying to do defensively. He's been able to get a good mix of reps, both with our defense and then also a handful of scout team reps every day, which is more quality reps against, the older or top offensive linemen. And so, yeah, just he's one of those guys, if he stays healthy, keeps a good attitude, he kind of has that a feel of like it's just a matter of time, because the kid is very talented. He is a hard worker. You think he really seems like he wants to get this done, and he's just progressing very quickly. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's, if he works himself into an opportunity to help this football team this year. And regardless, he's got a very bright future.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Croce.
Hey, Lincoln. Dan was talking yesterday about those early days with Eric Gentry, just seeing right away what he could do as an edge rusher. I know you guys had worked with that a little bit before that, but I guess I wonder when you're having those conversations early on about personnel, what were the conversations like about Eric when it came to, unique ways to use him maybe differently than he had in the past?
Yeah, I just, I tried to early on get those guys acclimated with the personnel as I saw it, in terms of what I thought these guys could do, and try to at least give our defensive coaches a starting piece, on how these guys could be effective and how they would fit into our defense going forward. Yeah, and I mean, I think the conversations, around Eric were that, he's got a chance to be a really unique piece for us. It's a very unique skill set. His ability to move, to cover, to be physical, to blitz, with that frame, you don't find that very often. And then the thing that, when he's rolling, the thing that really makes him special is he's a passionate player. And he plays the game with an edge and a passion that's fun to see. So, and our coaches have done a good job of harnessing that. I think Eric has done a good job of learning the system and really, and really buying in. And yeah, he's played at a high level last week against Michigan, and it's been a good fit between him and Coach Lynn and Coach Ince has been a good fit. With Coach Ince being his position coach, and I think Coach Lynn having a good feel for how to use him. And then obviously the key point is Eric being able to handle it all well, which he's done a really good job of up to this point.
Shotgun.
And like, and you mentioned earlier this week that the offensive line lost some trust and tried to do their own things at times. I mean, that seems pretty self-explanatory with some other positions, but what exactly does that look like for an offensive lineman?
Oh, sometimes when you get in a game and you don't have success, or you get beat, or you lose a rep, sometimes you can go away from some of the things that that you need to do anyways. It's there can be within a moment, not big picture, within a moment, there can be a little bit of a sort of panic that can happen. And listen, a lot of young players go through that. I mean, it's young quarterbacks go through it, young everybody goes through it, right? You get in those moments and you get tested in a little bit of a different way. And so I think that it'll be a great lesson for a lot of our players on the roster, including some of our offensive linemen, that when things get tough or when things don't go your way, that's when you've got to stick with it even more, and your trust has got to be there. And sometimes being in those situations like that and having to feel like those emotions and those competitive juices firing, and you're wanting to get it done, like you got to go back to your basics, you got to go back to your fundamentals, and you got to be incredibly trusting in that moment. And it's not easy to do. It's not easy even for older players. That's not easy. And a lot of times these guys want to get it done so much that they sometimes can lose sight of that, especially in a heated competitive environment. So I think we'll learn from it. I think we're better for it, and very excited to watch our group play this week.
Luca.
I think you mentioned today and just in general, obviously not with the news from yesterday, but you're technically losing a certain number of snaps, there that you've been working with rotationally. Just what is kind of the program's level of confidence in this defensive line right now and moving forward, and the improved competitiveness on this front?
Yeah, I don't think it's changed really. I mean, it's been high from the start of the season. We've got a lot of guys in that room that are contributing, that are playing at a high level. You don't have some of the plays and results that we've had defensively without that. And so it's going to be about the group and their effort. And yeah, I mean, just got a business as usual. Will that void create some opportunities for more snaps for other people, or the ability for us to potentially move around some chess pieces? Sure, it will. In the same way, if somebody were injured or any other player wasn't available. So, that's how we're viewing it. And there's a lot of excitement about the opportunities it'll create for some of these guys. And I think we'll have several guys jump up and seize it. And a lot of people want to play for this defense and this defensive line right now. We got a good, hungry group in there, and excited to see those guys continue to go to work and affect games.
Scott.
Hey, Lincoln, I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but I'm going to give it a go. How many more spots do you guys roughly have left to fill in, and what position groups are still left?
Yeah, we're getting closer to the end of it. You know, we're still we're definitely still in the market on both of the fronts. I would say those are the big areas right now. Potentially one more secondary player, but I'd say the focus here on this current class will be on the O-line and D-line really here going forward, given the commits that we do have. And obviously it's an ever-changing world, so you've always got to be ready to adapt. But I certainly see this class finishing strong on the O-line and D-line to complete what we think is going to be a tremendous class.
Thank you.
Ryan Young.
Two-part question. What's Achilles' status for this week? And then yesterday, Danton said that Zion Branch could be a guy that sees more playing time moving forward. What's held him back to this point? I know he had the finger injury, but what's kind of been his situation?
Yeah, Keely questionable has bounced back really well. So we've been pleased with that. He'll be questionable going into the game. So I do expect him to be available. But we'll see obviously kind of how that plays out over the next 48 hours. Now Zion's done a good job. Like, he's progressing. He's obviously, I think a lot of it is just battling back from missed time. I mean, just you look at the percentage of time that he's been here versus the percentage of time he's been available and able to either play or practice. It's not obviously not anybody's fault. It's not ideal. And so he's had to make up for a lot of missed time. He's an incredibly driven kid, young man. He is he's very hungry. He works very hard. The team is very important to him. Like, he's doing all the right things. He just got to keep. He's just climbing. And so yeah, we've been proud of his progress. And yeah, if Achilles not able to go, it would open up some opportunities for guys like him and Shaw and Pierce and some of those guys that we feel like are very ready to go in there and take meaningful snaps. So I don't know that anything's held him back, within his control. He's getting better each day. And if he's able to string this along and stay healthy, there's no question he's going to become a heck of a player.
Thanks.
We have time for one more. We'll wrap it up with Connor.
Coach, after a up and down offensive line performance against Michigan, what does this week of practice look like? Are guys fighting for their jobs, or is this more of a situation where you just kind of roll with the punches and you remain confident in who was starting last week?
No, I think we have a few guys that are pretty entrenched right now. But certainly, kind of like we did during the game, some too. I mean, if a lineup is not playing the way that we need to, and if there's a adjustment or tweak that we can make, we're certainly not going to ignore that as well. So with the number of guys that we have practicing right now, I mean, all of these guys are getting a bunch of reps, and we're going to do our best to find the best combination that gives us the best chance to win and move the ball and score points against Wisconsin. And so I think they've responded. It's been a very spirited week of practice up front. Those guys have practiced well. And again, we have the added benefit of being able to practice against a pretty good defensive line. So they're getting tested. But these guys are going to respond. You'll see. They're going to respond.